Yep. Okay. Excellent. All right. So then we'll go ahead and get started because I have 501. So just for the record, this is the joint Board of Eds meeting for Easton Reading Region 9 special meeting on Monday, March 30th. And we'll call to order each of the boards here in a minute. And again, for the record, we are live streaming on YouTube and also recording to Zoom. And we do have members of the public on as well. So just for, again, quickly for protocol, we do have public comment here at the beginning of the agenda. So we'll open the mics there for everybody to provide any questions that they have or comments. And then if you can announce yourself as well, that'd be good so we can get it for the record. And then we get into the board member comment and the rest of the board actions. We'll mute all the mics except for the board members. And then public will have a chance to comment again at the end, and we'll unmute the mics for the public at that point. If you are trying to speak and I can't see you because we have a lot of people on in the different tiles, either wave your hand or use the symbol in there to handshake or wave so we can see and I can get your mic unmuted. That would be helpful as well. All right, so with that, let's call the boards to order. And I'll just start out with Region 9, and we'll just go down through the roll. And if you can just say that you're here for the record, that'd be great. So Mary Lee. I think I saw her on.
She is here.
She's muted. Yep, waving her hand. Okay, thank you. Mike.
I'm
See
here.
Mike's here. Okay. Maureen.
Here.
Gwen. Don't see Gwen on. Juliet.
Here.
And Cheryl.
Here.
Okay, so we have quorum, and this is Todd. We're here. All right. Jeff, do you want to go ahead with Easton?
Sure. Call the Easton Board of Education call to order at 5:03. Jenny?
She raised her hand.
She's
She
there.
did?
Yep.
Okay.
She did.
Yeah, you can help me out with that. Gretchen?
Here.
Thank you. Randy?
He's raising his hand.
Okay. John, I've got you. Who am I missing?
So,
It's not you, Mike.
Katie.
Katie, I'm sorry.
I don't see Katie on.
Okay. All right, so Gretchen, Jenny, Randy, John, and myself. So we have 5 out of 6. That's cool.
So we'll call Reading to order at 5:04. Heather,
I'm here.
Colleen. No Colleen. Mike. I see Mike. John.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
And Chris Hocker.
Here.
All right, so we're 6 out of 7.
Great. So then we'll move to the first item on the agenda, public comment. So again, I'll unmute everybody here. And if you'd like to speak, if you could either wave your hand or let us know, and then we'll need you to identify yourself for the record since some people are on just first names. So that would be helpful. So again, your name and address would be helpful for the record. So anyone from the public, any comment? I don't see anyone. One more time, I'm just scrolling down through the list. We've got about 37 people on, so I'm just looking quickly. Am I missing anyone? So no, doesn't look like any public comment. All right, then we'll move on to the next item, board member comment. Member of the boards have anything they want to share?
John's raising his hand.
John?
O'Reilly.
Yes, I just wanted to state that I understand the plight of the teachers and perhaps needing some type of a respite, especially all the work that they've done of late. To be honest, I'm living it every day because my wife is a teacher in a fellow district, and 3 weeks ago, she didn't know what Flipgrid or Zoom or Hangouts were. And now she's taking meetings at 5 a.m., 8:30 p.m. Doesn't matter if it's Tuesday or Sunday. I know all the teachers are working very hard to get the e-learning moving and effective. But I just have some concern about getting the train moving and then stopping it. And I'm also even more concerned about keeping students engaged over this time, which is difficult for all of us, but particularly for teenagers and kids. And I just feel like if they're not engaged and they don't have lessons going on over this April break, it's just going to lead to more boredom and more congregating and really defeat the purpose of why we're doing this.
Great. Thank you, John. Any other board member comment? Otherwise, we'll move on to our discussion, possible actions. Okay. So then we will move on to item 4 on the agenda, discussion possible actions. Number A, letter A, spring break schedule, which is currently scheduled Monday, April 13th through Friday, April 17th, with the Good Friday on the 10th off as well. Tom, I don't know if you wanted to say anything to introduce the topic. We will look for a motion on how we want to proceed. We have a couple of options. So I don't know, Tom, if you want to say anything, or I'll throw out the options for discussion and we can get a motion going.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everybody. And I do want to advocate for some time for the students and their families and our teachers and their families to have a break. I am extremely impressed by how the faculties have thrown themselves into this task. Like Mr. Riley was saying, teachers are trying to acquire and turn around and use a whole new suite of skills and tools. As a human resource manager of employees, our big asset now is the workforce, the teachers and the people supporting them. And so I want to encourage you to give them multiple days where they can unplug and unwind. They will have been at this for 3+ weeks by the time the holiday weekend rolls around. The week leading up to any major religious event, Passover or Easter, has additional religious obligations for folks. So I want to be mindful of that. And then I am concerned about how the workforce will be if we expect them to plow right through to whenever this ends. I anticipate the governor will be extending the closure of schools beyond the 20th of April. I think it's reasonable to think that we'll be working in this media for certainly a fair amount of time beyond that. So what I'm most mindful, what's most on my mind right now is how to give a real break to the teachers and their students. I am truly stunned in awe of how some families are doing their best to make this all work. We have many people in our towns who, one or both parents, work in the healthcare field, and to the degree that we can all give ourselves some kind of respite between now and months from now, I do want to recommend you that you consider giving multiple days just as vacation. I do have an understanding. I think the point that John Riley made is a good one. Just as we start to get this moving, we don't want to stop cold in its tracks, but I also think that that could be a period of regrouping, and we could come through with some extended break. We could jump in with more vigor and energy. So if you don't feel that you can give the faculty and the students the full week off, then I would suggest consider giving the kids more days by turning one or more of those days into professional development days and leaving them to the discretion of the grade level teams and the administrators. Another consideration would be to give them multiple days off and then consider having what's in effect an early release for a couple of days, so that the duration of the days let's say you come back Thursday and Friday, that you do those in with an understanding it would be shorter than a full day. I am concerned about the wear and tear on the emotional elements of attempting this remote learning.
I can't hear Todd.
Yep, sorry. So thank you, Tom. So for each of the boards, we'll need a motion if we want to change how the calendar currently is set. And then we can discuss further around it. Again, there are options that we can keep with the current calendar or change.
Your audio is not.
Yeah, your audio was cutting out there.
Really hard time hearing you.
I was just saying, so we'll need a motion from each of the boards. And, we have options in front to leave the calendar as is or to change the calendar. So I'll look for a motion that we can get, discussion started amongst the boards.
I'll make a motion just to start the discussion. I move to shorten the spring recess so that we actually go back to school on April 13th.
So they'll be eliminating the entire week.
Yes.
Okay.
Just for purposes of discussion.
Yep.
All right, is there a second on Region 9 board?
Second.
Sorry, who was the second?
Who was the
Yeah,
second?
Mary Lee.
Mary Lee, thank you.
Oh, sorry, Cheryl was the first. For the record.
Thank you.
Reading, do we have a similar motion? Heather, is there a second?
I second.
That was John. So the motion is Heather, the second is John.
Easton, do I have a similar motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Jenny and Gretchen.
A lot of people are muted,
Second.
like Gretchen, Mike, Heather.
I unmuted myself.
Okay. So I'm sorry, who was the second?
Gretchen.
Thank you.
All right, so open for discussion then between the boards. As is, the motion is for eliminating the entire week, Monday, the 13th through the 17th right now is the motion. So we'll open it for discussions.
Since I'm the one who moved it, I'll start the discussion. I think I was where what John articulated during board member comment in that, first of all, the teachers and the students, the parents have been doing a fantastic job of just really going, adapting as we see fit. So really, I commend everybody for their efforts. And I do have a lot of friends and family across the world and also the US. And many schools have been doing the same thing. Many have been contemplating the same thing. So really, I think we're doing a great job collectively across all districts to try to adapt really on a daily basis. But I'm concerned, I think, first and foremost with the physical safety and enforcing the social distancing. And I'm concerned that via the boredom, et cetera, that might encourage even inadvertently people to, take their foot off the gas, so to speak, on going outside and interacting. And, I do think there is some flexibility given the governor's waiving the 180-day requirement, and that there could be some flexibility to give the teachers and the students and everybody else some rest. But I think we've just kind of gotten started. So I'd be a little bit nervous of providing the full break, but I am open to perhaps a partial one.
I seconded the motion, but I differ from Cheryl's opinion on this. I know it's a difficult task, and at first I was thinking that, of course, we should cancel the spring break. But the more I thought about it, the more concerned I was with if we're really going to help the teachers educate the students, they need this time. Having been a teacher myself, I know the difficulty of planning out a great curriculum and carrying it forward. And it's hard when you're not in the classroom with students. I can't imagine teaching a classroom, my kids, not being in the classroom with them. So they have a very difficult task on their hands, changing over so quickly from being in the classroom, kind of knowing what they're doing, because every class period is different, every group of kids is different. And then you ask them, well, we asked them because we had to change their curriculum completely as they deliver this new methodology. So I really feel like they could use some time, if not the whole break, then some of the time to keep going with figuring it out, because it's a lot. They're probably not getting a whole lot of sleep right now. I mean, none of us are getting a lot of sleep, but they're probably getting even less, trying to figure out how to do this effectively for their students because they care.
John, you look like you want to say something.
I do, but I didn't want to jump in if Jenny or Gretchen wanted to say something first.
Go.
Go for it.
I agree with Mary. I definitely agree wholeheartedly with Tom. I think great efforts, great job getting things started. I don't think that we'll lose momentum, but I think we'll come back invigorated, both in terms of the students and the teachers. I think people are fried. I'm fried. And I think we're all in need of an ability to obviously stay with our families, continue the momentum with the social distancing. And I think we've been doing a great job as a community and a state in general, but I think we need to be able to hang out with our families without having to also do. If my kids are in school, I'll probably keep working. I have the ability to say, hey, I'm gonna take off from work and really spend the time with the family and focus on them instead of all the crazy stuff that's been going on at work. And I hope that others are able to do that, but at a minimum, giving the kids an opportunity to unwind, giving the teachers an opportunity to unwind, I think it's really necessary right now.
I want to go for it, Jenny.
I was just going to say that I agree with John. I think we've got an entire community of different circumstances right now, people in different situations. And if we can send our teachers off for a few days to recuperate and just gain back some strength and energy, parents that are trying to work and teach at the same time, folks that are leaving to go to the hospital and worried that their au pair is trying to get on Google Classroom and teach with their kids. If we can get everybody just a few days off, at least, maybe not the entire break. I'd be okay with shortening it by a couple of days, giving some PD time to teachers, but I think everybody needs a minute or will need a minute. And like Tom said, this is probably not the end. As you mentioned today, reading the tea leaves, but April 20th is probably not our end point. So everybody's going to need to just gather strength to move forward.
I have to sort of second that as well. I would also be okay giving some days, but not all, but I think they need some. I thought about it too. I have a high schooler and a fifth grader, and I was thinking, I don't think it's fair that the teachers don't get a rest because we're afraid that, some teenagers may not social distance. I think that is something that the community is just going to have to parent. I mean, people are going to have to parent, but I think that the teachers not getting a rest because we're afraid of that is not fair to the teachers. So that's where I am on that. Yeah, I mean, it's great to keep them engaged, but I do also agree. I think the rest may be more important and may help with the engagement. And remember that this isn't just distance learning. This is crisis learning. This is something we've never done. No one's ever done. And it's, completely just something that I don't think day to day we're fathoming it. It's just different every minute. And I just think it's important to take a break.
Can I say something? I agree that the teachers could certainly use and deserve some days off, but I know that our kids have already had a week off, and I don't see them having a whole nother week off as being beneficial to the students at all. So I would be in favor of a partial break.
Is there a feeling among the teachers of just wanting this to keep going, to kind of shorten the, you know what I mean? So that the year doesn't keep dragging on, just to get it over with? I know that sounds, but It is what it is.
It's my understanding that the school end date is not affected by us having the break.
It isn't, okay.
I believe the governor's executive order says that the district has the right to end your school year on your stated date. So that would be the 12th of June for the high school and the 16th for the elementary and middle schools. And you may, if you want to, you may extend it for any of the days you close. But my recommendation would be to hold with those dates because there's so many other dates and schedules that are built off of them. So you wouldn't have to make them up. I have spoken with both the administrative team and the teacher association leaders, and they certainly are asking for time off to the degree that we can provide it to them.
Tom, if we kept the calendar as is, how many days of instruction would there be by the time we adjourned in June?
Well, we used one of the teachers' days as that professional development day a week ago Friday, so you're down to 179, and then we were closed for 5 of those days, right? The previous Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so you'd be at 174.
And if we cancel the break, we'd be back to 179, basically.
Right, right.
And from a financial perspective, we contract with folks on 180 to 183 day schedule. And is the assumption that everyone will be compensated based on that regardless of how many days we're in session?
Yeah, I believe that you're contractually obligated to pay the full contract amount, even if you don't hit the total number, unless you wanted to try to renegotiate that, which I would argue against. The teachers are absolutely putting in over and above time to get this working and up and running.
Do we want to vote on the motion then that was put before us? Because it sounds like there's several other alternatives that people would like to consider.
Yeah, does it make sense to go sort of around the horn, because it's kind of hard to figure out who has said what and what people's views are, and just sort of get a straw sense of what people think about this?
And if you could repeat the motion as well, please.
Yeah, we can do that and go around. Just one question before we do that, Tom. On Thursday the 9th, is that a half-day PD day right now?
Yes, that the 9th was originally scheduled as an early release day for the students, a PD day for the teachers. I actually need PD time, and I'll probably need more PD time as we need some instructional opportunity for people on how to use these new programs and how to collaborate. And so I may actually be asking you for additional PD sessions in April or May as the administrators deem necessary. So I would want to hold on to that PD time.
Would you want more than, or would you need, Tom, more than the half a day we have now?
If you convert it to a full PD day, then obviously you're losing part of an instructional day. So I would want to hold it the April 9th as it is, and then I think the challenge to the boards is, of the following week, how many days are you comfortable with as just pure vacation days? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, more of those days, and then would you consider making, say, that Thursday a PD session? Leave it as vacation for the kids. Maybe have a PD for the staff, and then have some. You could go back on Friday if you like, or Thursday, Friday. But I know I'm just repeating myself at this point, but I think if we don't give this community a sufficient break, knowing how in many households Easter Sunday is not a day off. You're attending services, even if you're going to be doing that virtually, and trying to contact your family. I think that we're going to need a longer period of time than just the weekend and even that Monday. I think you need multiple days. But I'm now inserting myself when you actually were trying to call the vote, so I apologize for that.
Hey, Todd,
Yes, go ahead.
it's Chris. I'm wondering if maybe in lieu of this particular motion, that maybe we could have a subset. What I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, is that the idea of canceling the whole week is not going to be a winner. I could be wrong, and you can go ahead and have the vote. But I'm thinking that perhaps we should put a motion on the floor along the lines of what Tom just suggested. In other words, having the break for the kids and everybody being the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then moving to a Thursday, Friday PD situation. And that may not be exactly but my guess would be that most of us are probably closer to that, either that or leaving the week as a vacation week as is.
All right, I'm open to that if the people that put the motions forward want to amend the motion, or we can vote, turn that first motion down and start another one. Just thinking the ease of trying to amend.
Once the motion's on the floor, just vote on the motion and then move on.
Connor?
Yes.
Tell her she's digging away in my garden. She's being really naughty right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was having a hard time hearing.
I think that was background noise.
Okay, that's good because I couldn't hear it. So.
We
All right,
saw it here.
Yeah. So why don't we just vote on the motion? Maybe it'll be easier just with because there are quite a few people on here with mics going. So maybe let's just vote on the motion and then we can put another one out. So as it stands, so this is the motion for eliminating Monday through Friday. I've got that correct?
I thought the other motion was just for discussion.
You need a motion to be able to discuss, but it's still a motion, so.
Yeah, exactly.
I think before we likely vote this down, it would be helpful to just sort of get a sense of where everybody is. We haven't heard from everybody on all three boards. I think that would be helpful to then craft the next motion so we don't go through the same process twice.
Yeah, I'm with Chris on that. I'd like to hear what everybody thinks personally.
Somebody's going to make another unpopular motion.
Something. Yeah. I was hoping we'd get more comments during public comment to see what consensus was, but that didn't happen. So
I think that's probably better. Else we'll make lots of motions here and keep going. So,
Maureen is waving.
Yep. Hey, Maureen, go ahead.
You muted me.
I unmuted. Sorry, you should be unmuted now.
I just think that we need to follow the lead of the administration on this. They know what the teachers need and want. And so to the extent that Tom wants some level of break for these teachers, they need it. I don't think that it is our role to police the social distancing of the kids. That's their parents' job. And so I support some level of break for everyone.
All right. Heather,
would it be? I'm not concerned about policing social distancing. I'm concerned about kids having just had a week of no school, and then like a week or two of a few weeks of online school, and then another week of no school. Would it be possible for the teachers to assign ahead of time some long-term projects or work papers, something like that? No. Head shaking.
What about like what about like enrichment projects?
I want to go.
I don't know how we.
I know. I have two teenagers here, and I know they're doing some homework, but it's not. I mean, where it is right now, it's not school, and I worry about a whole nother week being lost.
Yeah. I would just say, I'm from my viewpoint. Yeah, I prefer we get rid of the entire week of spring break. I think, as Heather was saying, we've had a break already. We had another, late start today. They had the week off before. So I'd be in favor of doing like a 4-day weekend, have the Friday, Good Friday, have the following Monday, and then be in school the rest of the week. We can practice social distancing, but I think it's just getting the kids into a routine. I've got 4 kids across the 3 schools, and just trying to get a routine in place has been tough. And I understand people need a break and all that. So a 4-day weekend, I think, would be sufficient. I don't think people are planning to travel anywhere on their spring breaks until travel restrictions have been lifted. So I don't really think that's going to be a concern for a lot of families that they've got vacations they're going to have to cancel out. So I'd be in favor of a 4-day weekend.
Todd,
Yes, go ahead.
it's Gwen.
Yeah, good.
I hear a lot of what you're saying and what Heather's saying, given that we did have a full closure for the week that after we closed. And I know that teachers were probably working when they were supposed to be not working that week. So I'm really sympathetic to that. I'm really sympathetic to the amount of effort that folks are putting into trying to make this huge adjustment. But as Heather said, we had a whole week of absolutely no school, and then we've had 2 weeks, and it's not the same. I think a lot of students are really suffering from severe lack of structure, as Todd mentioned, and they're still going to have to take the same final exams, I think, at the end of the year. So it's not just about sort of ticking off the boxes. It's how do we deliver enough content that they can pass the same chemistry final that the kids last year passed that chemistry final. So I'd be pretty in line with maybe a 4-day weekend and then Tuesday for PD, maybe some kind of a compromise like that, because it's another whole week of nothing on the schedule, and teenagers, playing video games late at night is not appealing to me. But on the other hand, I am certainly sympathetic to how much work teachers are putting in right now.
I don't think that week off was a week off. I think that was to just Tom's point about the emotional stress, the underlying strain across the community, people and teachers. That was a stressful week. People were emotionally drained, even though we weren't in school. That was a tough week of decision making, a tough week of unknown, back and forth on social media, people talking, not knowing what to do. I don't know that I want to use that as a determining factor to say that, just because we weren't in classes, that it didn't take a toll on families, administrators, people that were trying to behind the scenes figure out what was the next step, that wasn't just a lost week, as far as factoring in giving people the energy to move forward.
And the ability to plan for that week was non-existent, right? And while we're not going on any trips, we would plan to camp out in the backyard and do all kinds of enriching activities as a family. My kids played a lot of Fortnite that week that they were off because we couldn't plan for it, and I had to put in a lot of hours at work. But that's certainly not what my spring break would look like. And I think a lot of families maybe are challenged to come up with that sort of set of activities that they're going to be able to do without going to, Puerto Rico. But I think I'd rather give the people who can use that time to restore themselves, especially if those people include our teachers and our administrators. I'd like to give them the opportunity to do that. And I would push for it the whole week. Sounds like that's not very popular, but that's my point of view.
Yeah, Mike, I believe you were trying to get in a comment. Thank you for raising.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Todd. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'd like a repeat of the motion first. I just want to make sure I understood it. The motion was to not have spring break and to work straight through. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct. Okay. And I just also want to clarify something that Tom said earlier, that whether we have 6 days in a row of spring break or we have no spring break, that we will still end on the same day, June 12th.
Yes.
Interesting.
I mean, ultimately, I think we could control that too.
Yeah, you could extend the end of the school year. We've got to keep ourselves in mind of the cumulative wear and tear of this approach on everybody. And I know that some of you are saying, well, gee, my kid isn't really feeling overloaded right now. And that's because we are intentionally slow walking this. Imagine this community if we said we are going to attempt actual, comparable, real-time education. We have to be mindful of the impact of this crisis. So I guess I'm feeling as the manager of 300 plus teachers that we wouldn't ask an Army unit to go in for 4 months and not give them any reprieve. And this is, of course, not the same as that, but it is there is a comparable amount. That week that we were closed, when we closed for October during that storm a couple of years ago, we didn't cancel the winter holiday as a consequence to it. It didn't feel at all to me like a week off. In fact, it was intensive negotiations with multiple associations on our part. In a great year where we have wonderful weather for the whole year, I still don't think, I can tell you, our administrators do not take the vacation days they should. It's not healthy for them in a great year. And I'm very worried about them. People are looking at them from all angles. Answer every question that occurs to me, Dr. Pinn, and do it in real time. So I think multiple days, I got to hold out for that if we can, because I think you'll get better instruction after the fact. And we will be answering questions that are bubbling up here about assessment, about the fourth quarter, about the nature of what have been end of semester exams. How could we possibly promise that the chemistry course that we're attempting with Bill Nye the Science Guy and no contact lab time can ask kids to have the same level of mastery and understanding? We're all going to have to come to terms and adjust to that. But it's happening everywhere. It's not like our high school is at a disadvantage and every other high school in Connecticut is plowing forward. So I think you need to either vote on that one and come up with another one, or get a friendly amendment, or move forward. But I guess I'm going to stop, because I need my staff and students to have extra days in that, more than just that weekend.
Mike wants to talk. D'Agostino.
So I think it's important that we, first of all, Tom's our educational leader, so I'm okay following your recommendation. I think the agenda item was pretty specific and narrow, which is basically we're voting on this vacation time. But I think we're kind of jumping back and forth, and Tom touched on it a little bit, which is we have to all understand that this is not going to be a normal school year where we're going to deliver the same level of academic content. There's no SATs, there's no standardized tests, there's no way of measuring it. There's all kinds of proposals that are being floated out there. Do some kids stay in the same grade? Do other kids jump? I mean, we're in uncharted waters, which we understand. So is there a way that we can do this where we can follow Tom's recommendation as far as giving the normal break, but still ask, and I know we're asking a lot, but we're in uncharted waters and we're all doing a lot. Asking teachers maybe for those students who really do want to forge ahead, who really are, high achievers or driven students who really want to get on track and really want to keep in the momentum, to give them some sort of assignments and further instructional opportunities so that they can keep forging ahead through the break, while we don't make it mandatory for teachers and all students to have to be in school for that time.
Because many parents will be working during this break, and many parents were working the 2 weeks ago when our kids were home. So it's.
I think Juliet's trying to chime in.
Can I talk?
Sure, knock you. Absolutely.
Okay, so
Go
as
ahead.
a teacher and a parent, the struggle is real in my house. Okay, my fifth grader is finally logging in because he has to, but he needs a break. I need a break. Okay, I'm on those online meetings all day long, setting up classrooms for my own students. I'm reluctant to give up that time, especially since it's not impacting the end of the school time. I think maybe our AP students might still need to study because the test is still coming up, but I think everybody else could use a break.
I'm glad you said that. I was wondering what you thought.
Just from my perspective, an informal survey of folks that I've seen comments online, I've gotten emails, texts, and people I've bumped into from a great distance have all come out, all parents of kids, primarily K-8 kids, have all come out in favor of maintaining momentum and not taking a full break, because they said it's taken this long to figure out what it is we're doing every morning. If we take what amounts to 11 days off by the time you're done with a half day on Thursday to the following Monday, we're going to be starting all over again. And so there's considerable concern from the parent community on that piece of it. And I think that's something that needs to be weighed also in the context of all this. And I think if we did keep the break, I would be in favor of adding some or all of those days in June.
I've heard from the public as well, that same sentiment that I think they prefer to work straight through or as much as possible. And there's impacts either way. There's impacts when you have a full week off when you're confined at home anyway. It's a full week off with something to do or a full week off with nothing to do. So there are two sides.
I've also heard from people, and it's mostly been concerns about, are there enriching projects that we can arm the students with so that they're not just sort of aimlessly doing something if parents have to work? And I think that's a solvable problem. I think one of the things that we're not envisioning is that this is a couple of weeks out. I think, healthcare professionals I've talked to envision that in 2 weeks, this is going to be worse, not better. And the stress on the healthcare system and all of us will likely be greater. I think there'll be even more of a need in 2 weeks for us to have a breather than right now. And I don't think we're imagining that dimension of this problem.
Can I speak to the high-performing students? Certainly at the high school, we can look to how people have asked us to manage the winter holiday, where there has been a very strong wellness claims. Please don't overload my kid with AP prep or with the senior paper or something. If you're taking a break, let them take a break. I'm concerned about, and I hope this sounds correct when I say it, I don't know that it's my teacher's duty to keep other people busy. I think it's their job to teach and to set up units and to provide instruction and to point them in certain directions. I'm concerned that if we say to them, before you get to go on break, in addition to what you're doing now, you have to come up with 5 days worth of optional assignments for the kids, that's putting even more of an expectation on the teachers. It sounds to me like where you're finding your way to is some not the full week, not the full week in session, not the full week out of session, that you're heading towards a middle place. I think you've established that enough of the community feels that you shouldn't take the whole week off, but there is another portion of the community that thinks they need some kind of break. And I agree with John Stinson in that 2 weeks from now, if we're all getting up in the morning and seeing New York is cresting, that the emotions will be a factor we should be taking into account.
Tom, is there a way of eliminating the half day, the Thursday, and leaving school on that Friday and then taking the full next week off? Is there a way to do that?
Well, I don't think you can touch Good Friday. That's a holiday beyond your
right.
But you could turn the Thursday the 9th into a full day. You could take away the PD time. Our teachers are actually saying, okay, Monday you gave me 2 hours to figure out how to engage in
No, I'm not saying get rid of the PD altogether. I'm saying give the, is there a way we can have 2 days of PD that following week and just leave the kids off the whole week so the teachers can have 2 full days to work on things and just at least leave them in school till the Friday so they're not out 11 whole days? Is that a possibility?
I guess I'm not following you. Saying not have them in session on Good Friday, the 10th?
No, I know you, well, I mean, I'm Catholic. I go to church all the time and church is canceled basically anyway, so.
But it's still, it's regardless of the ceremony, it's still a doctrinal day for.
No,
for
I
people.
understand that.
I
just
think
saying-
that if you wanted to give, I think that the teachers have to know you're giving them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They need to have enough. I don't know about you guys, but when I go on a vacation, which is rare, if it's 7 days long, it takes me 3 days to unwind. I have 1 day when I'm okay, and then I get 3 days when I gear up again. So, but you could say, let's give everybody Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then do you want to make Thursday a PD day for the staff, and then Friday everyone's back in, and you're heading back into the following week? Now I feel like I'm negotiating with you guys. I don't want to do that. It's your decision. I'm just going to keep strongly saying, please give them more than a weekend and a day. And I just, while I was sitting here, I took 180 13 times. So if I never missed a single day of school from kindergarten till graduation, that's 2,340 days. We're talking here about 2, 3, 4 days in the long life of a kid's education. I think you should probably vote on the first motion so you can then.
Yes, please.
Yeah, but I think we've been going around trying to figure out where everybody stands before we do that vote.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So we don't have 15 motions, which
Yeah, I agree.
is understandable.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify what I was requesting was not saying that it'd be unfair to teachers that they have to give extra stuff to AP. The curriculum is already set. They already know what content they have to cover. I was just suggesting that maybe for some of those students to be able to have the opportunity to self-learn might be helpful to them. That was number one. Number two, I think it's important. I know we have this very narrow agenda item, but I think one of the biggest critiques we have, part of it is fair, part of it is unfair, is that it's a moving target, our plan, our structure. And so I think something that Chris said kind of touched a red flag with me, which is, what is the end game? And what is the recommendation from administration being? Again, is it like I articulated before, that this is a different type of year where there's just not going to be the same amount of content and we just have to accept that? Are we looking now to where we may extend the school year beyond what that last day of school has been scheduled? Because that would affect how I might vote on this motion. If my choice is work through this but end at the regular last day of school, or give them 5 days off now and go 5 days longer at the end of the school year, that's a different consideration for me. So I think it's really important that we know where we're going before we get there. In other words, you know, if in the end we're going to add days to the school year, or there's a prevailing thought or a majority who feel that way, then I think we need to know that before we make this decision, because it would affect how I would vote on this motion.
If I can make a recommendation, I think it's helpful for each board member to have a position, not just continually ask additional questions. So what's your position, Mike?
So my position is I would hold, I would say we wouldn't even need a motion. We could just leave everything the way it was and move forward as per our calendar, unless there's going to be a movement at the end of the year where we're going to add 5 days to the school year. And if that's the case, then I'd rather forge ahead now and end the school year on the regular last day of school.
Because Mike, our calendar now says that if you have closures, you tack them on until you hit June 30th, and you take from April.
Correct.
The only thing that changed that is the governor's executive order that says you can stop when you were going to stop just because you were going to stop then.
Correct.
Which begs the question, as 3 boards, whether we are committed to try to get as close to 180 as possible or not. And this is a question between 174 and 179. In a circumstance where I think we all have to be honest with the fact that the level of education, through no fault of the educators, is less than it normally would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And so should we then also be shortening the number of days that we're delivering that education?
Correct. But what I'm saying is if that is the position, then I would rather eliminate the vacation and end on the regular last day of school than give the vacation and add 5 days to the end.
But I don't even think that is a question right now. We are ending.
It seems to be a strong consideration from some board members, so.
Again, let's focus on what each board member's position is, and then I think we can go to the vote. But again, if you're not, I think the statement was that you're opening up a different circumstance. It's not part of the motion, and nor was it, I don't think anybody came here tonight, maybe they did, with extending the school year a week, swapping that out for the spring break. So
I expressed my sentiments on how I feel on the motion. I also addressed something that was raised by other board members. I'm not introducing anything new, and I have no intent to do so. I'm just stating my position, and that it could be affected if statements that are being floated are going to be come to fruition.
okay, so it's safe to, you're not in favor of you're in favor of working through the break. And if we keep the calendar as it is with the break, then tack those 5 days on to the end of the year. Okay. I think personally speaking,
yeah.
Excuse me?
It's the opposite. I don't want to tack the 5 days on the end of the year. I'd rather end at the last day and give this break. But if we're going to tack them on, if that's a consideration, then I would rather work through the vacation and
I think we can't make that decision tonight, right? So we have to pretend as if the end date is the end date for now. Sorry, Jenny, I'm sorry.
That's what I was gonna say. We're sitting here going back and forth about something that we can't predict. This is a week, this is a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month plan that we have to make as things change. I think we need to make this decision about April break in isolation and talk about the end of the year when it becomes an issue. So once we're on the other side of this and we see how the kids are faring, what's happening, the status of the spread of the virus, the changes in Connecticut, New York. I mean, for all we know, in 10 days, the tri-state area could be quarantined and shut down. I mean, we just don't know. And to expect Tom or anybody else to, we've got to just look at where we are right now, make the decision for April break. And if we need to come back again and talk about the end of the year, then we do it at a later time. That's what I think.
I agree with that.
I agree.
Well, let's go ahead and vote on this then. The motion that is before us is that the week of April break, 13th to the 17th, will be eliminated. Why don't we go board member by board member, saying either yes or no to that motion, and then once we get that out of the way, then I think we can go and entertain another motion that might be closer to what people are interested in doing.
I still think we're going to play the motion game this way. And we're going to have 17 motions before we get ready to go.
Well,
I think
I'd like to hear
variations. There's 2 more variations.
Yeah, as I say, it seems like this one's off, and we may have a couple variations on a motion.
But I don't think it's a million motions. I think we can vote now, close this one out, and then there's at least 1 more motion and maybe 2.
Would it be helpful if I withdrew my motion and made a new motion?
No,
And then, because I don't think that this motion to I haven't heard anybody strongly advocating that we completely get rid of this break.
Yeah, I was going to offer up the same thing for
So
Region
if
9.
I could withdraw
So if you
my
want to
vote,
withdraw it, then that's fine.
and
Yeah,
then
if
we can
I'd say
spin around this round and round.
Sure, we can do that. All three boards would need to withdraw as opposed to
I
vote it
withdraw
down,
my
and then we'll
motion.
need to put a new motion back on the table again to discuss.
I hate to say it, that's what I was suggesting 20 minutes ago, but that's okay.
Thank you. We'll get there eventually, Chris. Thank you. So
Jenny Cheetah, would you like to withdraw the Easton motion?
I would love to withdraw the motion.
and then Cheryl,
I
are you
second.
okay withdrawing?
I'll withdraw my motion as well.
All right, so we have no more motions on the floor at the moment from any of the boards, so we'll entertain another motion. So we can continue discussing or vote.
I would make a motion, but I don't have a calendar in front of me. So I would like to put out a motion, but I need help. So I would like to put out a motion for.
I have a calendar, Heather.
Maybe you could do it. But I would like to put out a motion for giving the teachers some consecutive days off and coming back from that break maybe a little earlier. That's what
I could make a motion like that.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try for Region 9. I would like to make a motion, this is Gwen, that we maintain Monday and Tuesday, April 13th and 14th as break days, and have Wednesday, April 15th as a professional development day for teachers, and resume school on April 16th and 17th. That would give teachers 5 consecutive days off, followed with a half PD day before their 5 days off and a full PD day after their 5 days off. And it would still allow kids to have 2 days of learning.
Okay, so let me recap the motion, then we'll get a second from Region 9. So you're saying Monday and Tuesday, the 13th and 14th would be break days. The 15th Wednesday would be a PD day. And the 16th and 17th, Thursday, Friday of that week would be school days.
Correct.
Correct for the motion? Okay.
Can I ask
We have that motion.
the motion, or do we need to? Does
Yeah,
that
we'll
leave
need to do it by each of the boards.
So we need a Region 9 second first.
Region 9 second first.
Maureen is seconding for Region 9.
Okay,
Do the other
for
boards want to make
Easton?
the same motion?
I'll make that same motion for Reading.
Heather for Reading, is there a second? Anybody?
Sure, to put it on the floor, sure.
All right. Chris Hocker.
But don't put it on the floor if it's never going to pass. If it's never going to pass, just get rid of it now.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I would have helped out there.
Right.
Easton? Anyone on the Easton board that would like to
Do we need
put
to
that
move
motion forward?
Do we need to move it just to discuss it?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought I saw Gretchen move.
Yes, I'll move to make that motion.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jenny, thank you.
All right. So motion again on the floor. Monday, Tuesday is break, Wednesday PD, and Thursday, Friday back in school for the week of the 13th.
I think we have to be careful calling it Monday, Tuesday break. It's really Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday break.
Yeah.
And half day Thursday.
Yes.
Right.
So Good Friday is we are not touching the previous week. So Thursday on the 9th is still PD day, half day, and Friday the 10th is Good Friday, still vacation day. And then weekends I'm not counting, Saturday, Sunday.
I will point out, if I can make a comment, Todd. Passover starts on Thursday, the 9th. And I think I'm hearing we have full day of school on Wednesday, still half a day PD. So I think we're splitting the PD, it sounds like, between Thursday the 9th and Wednesday the 15th. Is that correct?
That's correct with the current motion.
Okay.
And it's a full day of PD on the following Thursday, the 15th, correct?
Wednesday the 15th.
Sorry,
Yes, Wednesday
Wednesday.
the 15th, full day.
So
Yes.
I'd like to hear what Tom has to say about that.
And that was Stephanie talking.
Yes, sorry. Steph wants to hear from Tom.
Tom is, what do I want to say first? When we say we want the administration to speak, that's 18 people. So I'm one of them. I think that if we can give the teachers a break, and with it being truly a break, you're going home Thursday and you don't think about your work until the following Wednesday morning, and we don't expect you to be checking your emails or prompting kids, then I think that I'll take what I can get. And then I would want that Thursday to be really left to the grade level, the building level administrators and the teams on how they use that time, including if we say to them, take a chunk of it for personal work time. And then you're looking at that Thursday and Friday, you're back into session. That's certainly better to me than not giving them any break. And I guess I want to caution us against, just let me throw in two more things. One is College Board, which puts out the advanced placement tests, has already told us they're modifying this year's exam from the traditional 2-hour plus exam to a 45-minute online version. So everybody recognizes this is going to be a different kind of year academically. And secondly, I think I've got to keep in mind that what I think my household could take on as a workload that is acceptable and manageable and doable and won't push us over the edge may not be what another household can do because of many factors. So I know you want us to be up and running and charging forward, and I want us to be up and running and walking forward. But I guess I could live with this, but again, I feel like I'm now negotiating on behalf of the teachers with the board. So it's more, I think it's more my job to help you make a good and fair decision, and splitting the baby like you're trying to do here is certainly better than not giving anybody a respite at all. I could live with this, I guess.
So shall we go board member, board by board, either voting yay or nay?
Well, maybe there's time for a little bit more discussion. I mean, I'd be much happier if this motion were to have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday break, which was something that Tom had suggested at one point. I just think Monday and Tuesday is too short.
Yep.
And if I had my druthers, I'd leave everything as is. But the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I could support. Monday, Tuesday just seems like not much.
I agree with Chris. If I had my druthers, I'd leave it as is. It seems like there's a very big push for getting them back in, and I would say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is something I could live with too.
I think you'd have
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then we'd still have a professional development day on Thursday, correct, Tom? So then we'd really be back to just one academic day for the students.
Or you could make
Tuesday,
that
Wednesday.
PD session a V day, a vacation day. Is that Dr. Pearson? You go try. I'm talking over like I usually do.
I think what the motion is Monday and Tuesday are vacation days. Wednesday is a vacation day for the kids, and it's a PD day for the teachers. It has nothing to do with Thursday. Thursday and Friday, everyone's back in school.
So I think I would feel more comfortable giving everybody Wednesday and then doing 2 half days with PD and a half day of school Thursday, Friday. So everybody's still getting PD, we're going back. Teachers could either have the morning or the afternoon to work in their groups or whatever.
There's an idea.
I like that better.
Yeah.
Me too.
That's really a good idea.
Not to throw a monkey wrench in this, but I mentioned this before. Passover, I don't know how many Jewish families we have in either Reading or Easton, but the first day of Passover is the 9th. So we have half a PD day. So from my end, again, and apologies if I have some ignorance here, but versus, I'm thinking about the 9th versus the 15th, but I'd rather have 3 full days off than these partial days or PD days. I don't know where everybody else is with that.
So which day, Cheryl? I'm
So
sorry.
I was proposing full day off on the 9th. We're already off on the 10th. Off the 13th and the 14th, go back to school full day, 15, 16, 17. It's 3 instructional days. And then no partial and no PD.
I don't think that's
So
enough.
2 weeks of 3 days as opposed to a week of 3.5 and a week of 2.
Yeah, and Tom
Yes.
says he really needs the PD, so I wouldn't want to take that away.
But you get a full PD day on that Thursday instead of a half.
Cheryl, could you explain your idea one more time with the dates?
Sure. So
Okay.
Thursday, April 9th. Right now, it's a half a school day. I don't know if that was going to be half a PD. I think it's half a school day and half a PD day.
That is correct.
Yes.
Right? So what I'm proposing is that day is off for everybody, no PD. So essentially, first day of Passover, Good Friday, which is the following day, the 10th. Saturday, nobody does anything. Sunday's Easter Sunday. So you cover all the holidays that potentially at least most of our communities have. We're off Thursday. We're off Friday, full day. Everybody goes back 15, 16, and 17. And I'd be fine with either a full day off on Wednesday or half a day off and half a PD. And we're still back to half a PD.
Wait, so Thursday, you're saying right now we have a half a day is PD. And the proposal is because of Passover, we would change it to a full day off. But if Passover begins on Thursday, it begins at sundown?
Oh, it's
Would
sundown?
it go sundown to
Yeah.
sundown?
Yeah, it could be. That's like
Yeah, so you
it
don't really
wouldn't
need to mess
affect-
with Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't affect Thursday, so that could still stay, half and half.
The only
So in that
advantage to
case,
messing with
then-
Thursday is having 2 3-day weeks as opposed to a 4-day week and a 2-day week, which sort of, from a continuity perspective.
The only
I just-
reason that I like having the Thursday, Friday, half day school, half day PD is that you're technically counting that as 2 school days. If you give a full day of PD, that does not count as a day of school.
Exactly. It's very smart.
Yeah, I like
There's
that.
no requirement for number of school days anyway.
Right,
Yeah,
but
but-
you're wanting to add days to the end of the year.
No, I'm not.
Then get the most
Am I
days.
not
you
clear?
can.
I do not want to add school days to the end of the year. Other board members have suggested that. In fact, if this motion
No,
fails,
Mike, I don't
I'll
think
make a
anybody has.
motion that we just leave it alone and we end the school year on the last day of school and be done with it, because I do not want to end them at the end of the year. I just don't want to give them vacation now and then add them at the end of the year. That's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. Could we?
Are we ready to vote on this and then make a motion with an adjustment? It sort of sounds like that's where we're going. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with the motion as it is.
No.
Like to maybe get a little closer to
And
Juliet's or
I
something.
think the motion is closer to Juliet's idea, right?
Yeah, so the motion right now is 13th, 14th, which is Monday, Tuesday break, 15th, Wednesday, PD day, 16th, 17th, school. 16th through 17th, school.
Right.
So
and
the
I-
suggestion is to extend that vacation to the 15th and do the 16th and 17th, half day PD and half day and half day school.
Yep.
But we retain that Thursday before as the half.
Still half and a half PD because it's needed. The
Right.
PD is needed.
Yeah, so no change on the
But we're-
9th.
we're
No
adding
change
some
to that week whatsoever. It's the second
Right.
week that we're changing.
So that
I
would be-
certainly feel better about your modification.
I like that modification.
So we
Could
first
I
have-
offer to be process conscious? Can we offer that as a friendly amendment? Because otherwise we have to vote down.
Yeah, we have to vote down and put it in motion.
Or can we just withdraw that one again?
Now we're amending the
I
amended.
withdraw my
Same
motion.
thing.
I
So-
withdraw my motion.
For what it's worth, this proposal would go 12 days between full school days.
But there would still be school. There would still be school on the 16th.
And the distance learning version of the school day is not as sort of full day
Right.
versus is not.
Right,
the
it's
same.
all a very mileage varies
Right.
process at the moment.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Nothing is normal.
It's a
Okay.
good point to understand, but I don't think it's as impactful.
Hey, guys, I also just want to let you know, the first Seder is on the 8th.
Okay.
So Passover, Seder, the first Seder is on the 8th. I was just double checking. So
So we always make it clear that we don't want teachers giving assignments that create a conflict for that. And I think I should point out that in addition to Christianity and Judaism, there are other religions that are being practiced in our town. I just want to get that into the record.
All right, so as it stands right now, we have no motion on the floor because everybody's withdrawn the motions. So if we want to put one back on.
Do you want, I think I've gotten this written down at staff, Alton, that we keep April 9th, half-day professional development, half-day school. We keep April 10th, Good Friday, as a day off. We propose Monday, April 13th, Tuesday, April 14th, Wednesday, April 15th as vacation. And we propose April 16th and April 17th as half-day professional development, half-day school.
So, Steph, this is Cheryl. So you're saying you're extending the 16th to half a professional day?
Yeah.
Which is the Thursday?
Yes. Yes, so that it counts as a school day, but the teachers also get some professional development.
So then
and that way, yeah, and that way they can start the week after that, having 2 half days of professional development to be geared up for this new way of working.
So then the kids only have 1.5 days and the teachers only have 1 day of school, 1.5 days of school.
We have 2 half days.
Half days.
Well,
Two half days.
The week leading up to Good Friday, we are not touching. That is staying the same. Right.
Yep.
We are changing the full week that was going to be April break to being 3 full days of vacation with 2 half days of professional development and 2 half days of school.
You're really only changing the
16th
Thursday.
and 17th.
Yeah, the Thursday and Friday. We're
right.
giving the teachers some professional development and we're giving the kids a half day of school.
Is that a motion, Steph, so I can second it?
That is a motion. If I've ever seen one.
Motion for Easton.
Do I have a second in Easton? Gretchen,
Second.
okay, thank you.
And for Region 9?
Can I motion now? Sorry.
Yes,
Jumped
Mary
on.
Lee
Okay, motion
moves,
for ER9.
and who's
I mean,
second?
for
I'll
Region 9.
second it.
Karen, second, okay.
Yep.
I'm sorry, who was the second for Region 9?
Karen.
Karen
Thank you.
Karen,
O'Brien.
second. All right. So is everyone clear on the motion that's on the floor? Do we need to recap it? Everybody's good?
Yes, please. Can you please do that again? Sorry.
You want me to do it?
All right.
Since
Yeah, I've got it here. So,
Okay.
All right. So the week of the current week on the 9th, no change. Friday, Good Friday the 10th, no change. On the week of the 13th, vacation, 13th, 14th, and 15th. That's Monday through Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, a half day school, half day PD. So really the only change in the calendar is Thursday, Friday of the 16th and 17th, half day school, half day PD.
Excellent.
Do
Well
we
done.
When you
Yes,
say
go ahead, Jen.
half day, do we need to specify what that
Which
means?
half?
Well, no, not which half, but is it an early dismissal? Is it really a half day? Does it matter?
The bus is coming at the same time.
I don't think it matters.
I think it
Virtual
makes
school day, whenever your school day
TBD,
starts
to
at
be
your house.
determined.
Yeah, I guess it's for the instructional part. So, school starts whenever, right, in the houses.
Right. I
Yeah.
think we would prefer it to be an early dismissal, school followed by PD is better for teachers and kids, we think.
Whatever's better for them.
Okay, shall we go board by board?
I think so. Any other discussion? No? All right, we'll go board by board. Jeff, do you want to start?
Sure. Gretchen, is your vote a yay or a nay?
Yay.
Okay. Randy, is your vote a yay or a nay?
Yay.
Jenny?
Yay.
John?
Yay.
Okay, and did Katie ever join us? She did not.
I'll check again just to make sure.
Okay. All right. All right, and I'll vote yay, so the motion passes.
Chris, do you want to go for
Sure.
Reading?
Reading, Heather.
Yay.
I see Colleen has joined. Colleen. Can you unmute her, Todd?
Yeah. Trying to find her here. Hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. You're unmuted.
Hi,
Go ahead.
sorry. Yay, I guess.
Mike.
A reluctant yay.
No.
John Riley.
Nay.
Steph.
Yay.
Chris Hawker.
Yay.
I vote no. So it carries 4-3.
All right. In Region 9, Mary Lee,
Yes.
Mike,
No.
Maureen,
Yes.
Gwen,
Yes.
Juliet,
Yes.
Cheryl,
No.
Karen,
Yes.
and Todd, no. So it carries here as well in Region 9. 5-3. All right, so I think it passed all three boards, correct? That counts,
Yes, it
right?
did.
All right, so we have a motion. So it's just to recap. So the change again, nothing for the 9th and the 10th. They stay as is. On the week of the 13th, so Monday through Wednesday, 13th through the 15th, vacation. The change to the calendar is the 16th and the 17th with a half PD day and half school as an early dismissal. But that's not the motion, so it was just a half PD day, half school, with an understanding it's early dismissal. All right, so that is it. That's the only discussion possible action item. So with that, we'll move on to public comment, and I will unmute and all the mics here. So if member of the public, if you'd like to say anything, we may have to mute everybody with the background noise. So let me try this again. I'm going to mute everybody. And then if you want to say something from the public, if you can either use the little symbol to raise your hand or wave, and we'll try to get attention.
Decide.
Okay?
Wait, 2 days of our
I think we're still, I think
background noise.
All
Just
right.
poorly.
So again, anybody from the public, I'm going to try to unmute board members as we go along here. I see Rosamund, you have your hand up still, so.
Yes,
You'd like to
hi,
go,
can you hear
Rosamund?
me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I am one of those parents who believe that I would like to have, I'd like to keep the ball rolling with my kid who is in high school, and keep her learning going on a certain pace that we're just trying to get back now. But I do understand the need for a break. The suggestion that my husband had behind me, I don't know where he is now. He is, you know, a retired school teacher, 30 years teaching. And his idea was to put out the summer reading list early as a way to help fill that time when we're all hanging out at the house, wishing we had some more schoolwork to do.
That's a great idea.
A great idea.
Thank you. So anyone else, again, sorry, I'm trying to find some of the more noisy lines and mute those.
Yeah,
So,
hi. This is
hi.
Angela Caius. I'm from Reading, little elementary school kids. So I just want to first and foremost say thank you. We in our family recognize how hard you're all working, how diligently all of the teachers are working. So if you're not hearing, thank you from everybody. We just want to thank you first and foremost. Second of all, just as you make these very hard decisions, I would love to make sure that the boards are acutely aware that I think parents need communication about the current level of education that is purposefully being offered, and that the number of days that are being offered for vacation and some idea of where we're going. It came up a lot in the discussion, but parents are going to react one way or the other to the decision made today. However, it would be great to have a concrete communication from each of the teams. I think it's really, really important. I would also like to mention just a couple of things. You are offering amazing food services to people who are dealing with food scarcity currently. So I would strongly urge you to consider continuing that through vacation days that you have planned in this very unprecedented time. I don't know what the utilization is right now. However, if the utilization is quite high, it might indicate a need. And then finally, I just want to know kind of in future meetings where the direction of education is going. Obviously, as it has been mentioned, there's going to be a hole in education at every level from this experience. And is that on purpose? In other words, we're relaxing how we're rolling out distance learning so everyone can adjust. That's perfectly wonderful. However, how are we going to adjust to that over the summer? How are we going to adjust to that to our kids? And what you would like parents to do in terms of additional instruction or quote unquote summer school to get our kids ready for the next year. So just 3 basic points. Again, starting off with a huge thank you. I know these are huge grappling issues to deal with. So I just wanted to say thanks first and foremost. And as the decisions move forward, the greatest amount of communication you can offer, I think would be helpful to all parents. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Angela.
Todd, can we just
Yep.
we just remind folks for public comment that we need first and last names clearly, possibly even a spelling of the last name. We also need addresses, the street that the folks are from.
Sorry, Angela Caius, C-A-E-S, or Cat Apple Elephant Sam. It's a weird name. And 41 Deer Hill Road in Reading.
Thank you very much.
And Rosamond, do you mind?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead, Rosamond. Thank you.
Rosamond Whitty and James Baldwin, Sunset Hill Road, Reading.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Any other members of the public for public comment? Is that Colleen waving?
But I'm not the public.
I know. I didn't know if you wanted to comment. Sorry. I thought you were waving there. All right. Anyone else from the public? Scrolling through just to make sure. All right. I don't see anyone else. All right. So we'll go ahead then. We'll move on to board member comment.
So can I just say something? This is Colleen.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have had the thought in the past on my board work to try to overrule Tom, and I always regret that. So I'm trying not to get even close to where I overrule him now. But I do want to speak as a parent who has a child that thrives in school and thrives on the schedule of school. She's in 4th grade. And so I love the expression of that we are not in distance learning, we're in crisis learning. And the way our family is coping at the moment is by using the school schedule. So although I fully acknowledge that teachers need a break, our administration needs a break, and there are some students that need a break, there are also students that are hitting their stride with the schedule and the structure of the distance learning. And so I don't want to encourage, I don't want to request that our teachers create another week of curriculum. But if there is some guidance that could be offered to parents with a child like my own to help us, in fact, I don't even think I'm going to let her know that there is a spring break. We're just going to figure this out, and we're going to keep the structure of some kind of learning going because she's doing so well with it. And it's helping manage, the stress and the emotions of what's happening. So, but what I would ask of the administration, this is kind of my FaceTime with Tom, if he's still listening, is that there be some sort of resource made available to help parents that are in a similar situation to my own.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other
I'm going to
board member comments?
second the idea of putting out summer reading. I had brought this up earlier on. I don't even remember who I brought it up to. But if it's possible to put out the summer reading, if that's something we're even going to be doing the same way, I don't know if we can answer that question, but that seems like a no-brainer to me. If we have it and can put it out easily, and if we can't, then we can't. But
I would think it could be put out easily.
Yeah, I would bet that our respective town libraries would also be happy to create lists of content for students to consume in that time. I've been having my own kids either do a podcast every day or do a TED Talk every day that they're consuming, and then creating their own content. You know, whether they have school or not, on the weekends they're doing that, and it's been fantastic. And then we're talking about it at dinner. It's been really great.
But if we're going to expect the kids to actually do the same summer reading, in my mind, that's something that if this is the perfect opportunity for those children who want more, to do more and do something that's relevant and something they're going to be asked to do anyway. I mean, barring a 12th grader who obviously isn't going to be in the district anymore. And the younger kids, obviously that doesn't help them because I don't remember what grade summer reading starts in, but mandatory summer reading with writing assignments. But for the kids for whom that is going to be a required assignment, that seems like a wonderful thing to put out, and the kids can do it or not do it. So.
Great, thank you.
I have a board member comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
This is probably mostly directed to high school because I have high school. One of my kids is a senior, and so I'm sort of throwing up my hands with this one. But for the other high school students, I'm hoping that the teachers are considering some sort of adjustment to how they're going to be grading. I heard from a friend who works at a school in Chicago who they have told their high school students that their final grade for the year won't be worse than what they ended the first semester with. So they can only go up now because it's really difficult for oh my God, I'm crying. For kids who are maybe having trouble in school with a difficult subject, not having that face time with the teacher and then trying to figure it out all on their own at home is not really working that well.
All right, thank you. Any other board member comment?
Todd, this is Cheryl Resnick. I do have a board member comment. So from a board perspective, again, I thank everybody for acting in such a way that this is unprecedented and we're still trying to deliver education. And if this helps, again, these are two anecdotal cases. So my own kids, both of whom are Barlow students, wanted the full break. They want a break, even though I said, well, wait a minute, what about your momentum? But if rest assured, Tom, to you and your team, I think the same would apply to all schools, even though I only work with the Barlow team. I would say that what the teachers are delivering has been good for my children specifically, because they've commented that they feel like it's more work than though they had before. So I'm hoping that that'll be some momentum for at least some of the student population, barring what Heather said, of course. I mean, there's some where the momentum is better to have that focused attention by the teachers, but there are some good in it. I feel hopeful that we could still try to continue as 3 districts to try to deliver as best we can the same level of education, yet make accommodations for things that perhaps we can't predict at this point. So I do want to acknowledge that. And then just from a more of a board member process, next steps, I know the next 3 months are probably going to be, 2 months are going to be somewhat unpredictable, but if we are looking for agenda items for the next tri-board meeting, I'm not saying I'm necessarily supportive of this or not, but I would like to discuss whether or not, as time evolves, whether or not we should add days to the school year. Just so we could deliver the quality education that we already do and that we have been doing.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other board member comment? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think it'd be remiss not to comment and thank Tom and Stephanie and Scott the entire administration, the entire faculty, the support staff, the office staff, everybody who has turned everything on their head for the past couple of weeks, while also dealing with their own personal circumstance, their own family issues, their own kids, to do what they can to turn a brick and mortar school into a school by correspondence, more or less overnight. And while we can draw comparisons to Westports and New Canaans and Darayan's and anywhere else, these folks have done a tremendous amount of work with relatively limited resources. And I think we should all be grateful for the early mornings and late nights that I know I've been getting messages on this over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Great.
Is there a way to do like a board standing?
Exactly. Everybody wave, yes.
Everybody wave.
Hands.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you.
Well
All
done,
right.
John.
Any other board member comments?
Just ditto that.
Mhm.
This is hard. This is really hard. And I think we need to just, as we're moving forward, remember that there is so much going on in the background and we're trying to operate as normally as we can, but every single family's got significant challenges, teachers, administrators. We all need to just be gentle with ourselves and give everybody some slack.
Mhm.
All right. All right. Any other comments?
Move to
All right,
adjourn.
seeing none, then want to entertain motions from the
Mike
boards to
D'Agostino
adjourn.
has moved to adjourn.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
Move to adjourn.
All right. So motion from Region 9 to adjourn. And a second,
Seconded, Karen.
Karen.
Is there a
All right,
motion from Reading?
Yes, Steph.
Steph, is there a second?
John.
Second is John. Motion is Stephanie, second is John.
Easton,
Motion to adjourn?
John. Who's my second?
Randy.
Okay, Randy, thank you.
All right. So we'll just go around and vote. So Region 9, all in favor? Adjourn.
Aye.
All right. Looks like everybody is in favor. So we'll adjourn at 6:32.
I can't see everybody in Reading, so Heather,
Aye.
Colleen,
Hi.
Mike,
Yes.
John,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
Chris.
Yes.
I'm also yes, 7-0. We're adjourned at 6:33.
All right, Jeff.
Hey, Todd, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Todd.
We'll see you.
Sorry, Easton, adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Yes.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Go.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Looks like, yes, unanimous. Thank you. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your
Good night.
participation and comments. Thank you.
Okay, good
night.
night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Stay safe, everyone.
Bye.